Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to my channel, Oracle Rising. My name is Robin and I'm here to talk about thought-provoking things to you guys. So thanks so much for joining me on the channel today. So what I wanted to talk about today is, I wrote this article a few years ago that was flatly rejected by my editor because she said I was being too preachy. And I'll get into the subject right away. So you guys, I think I've talked about being a vegan on my channel before, so I wanted to sort of give people the perspective of what is going on around the world and what the practices of what we're putting on our dinner plates really varies from culture to culture, and like people's opinions on what is going on in let's say Asian countries, for example. People are absolutely abhorred by what is going on. So I wanted to share this article because I think it can really inspire you to sort of maybe look at making some changes here. So I called it the Consumption Conundrum. And something else I wanted to talk about quickly is like, a lot of people talk about how going vegan really opened their eyes to the rest of the matrix. Like, and being vegan is one of probably the top two things. Being vegan and stopping watching TV are two of the things that really start to open your eyes to what's really going on in the world today. So I wanted to bring this one out. So thanks for being here, guys. So the Consumption Conundrum all around the world. Hold on for a sec. Been talking a lot today. So anyway, all around the world, animals are cultivated on a mass scale for food production and multiple other uses, including fur production and laboratory testing. In fact, 80,000hours.org provides a shocking figure of 50 billion factory farmed animals being raised and killed for food annually. And I'm sure that number has gone up a bit in the past few years because I wrote this like 3 or 4 years ago and I've just been sitting on it. So because 50 billion is rather a mind-numbing figure to absorb, I've had an online calculator do the math and found the following. 50 billion equates to 50,000 times 1 million. This is a staggeringly high number of animals being bred to sustain humans, and something to keep in mind while reading further through or listening further through. So depending on geographic location and culture, farmed animals can vary greatly in species. For an example, North America tends to farm and produce cows, pigs, and poultry species such as chickens and turkeys. Converse to this observation, theatlantic.com provides evidence that nearly 80% of the Hindu population of India refrain from eating beef due to religious beliefs. So, I mean, in North America, like, it's all the big rage, like, let's go for a steak or whatever, but like in the Hindu population, they're like, what, are you crazy? You know, what are you talking about? Eat a cow? I don't think so. So this belief does not, however, prevent the export of use of the cattle for dairy purposes. Hold on, I'm lost. Sorry. So like I was saying, in the Hindu culture of India, you know, they're not eating the cows, but they're making money from them. So it's a little bit of a incongruent, like, it almost seems like a fallacy, like it's sort of taking from one hand and giving away with the other, and just really not following through with the core belief, because they are selling them for dairy purposes. So while on one hand the animal is generally not being raised for meat in the country where cows are held as sacred beings, selling it to others for that express purpose is seemingly allowable. So that's what the conundrum I'm looking at is like, why are we saying one thing and doing another? A further example of what has been coined as speciesism is the diametrically opposed use of animals in our North American culture. That in the diametrically opposed use of animals in our North American culture observed to be companion animals versus other countries choosing to consume these same species of food. Try to imagine as a Canadian walking into a grocery store and finding dog meat as an option on the butcher aisle. Does that shock us? If so, why? Global News recently reported that massive outrage at an international level has been expressed towards the dog meat trade and annual festivals in foreign nations. Yet, how many of the dog meat consumers are protesting North Americans' use of cattle, pork, and poultry? As a vegan and animal advocate, I utilize multiple social media platforms to raise awareness and combat what I and many others in the vegan community term cognitive dissonance. ChangeMinds.org defines cognitive dissonance as this is the feeling of uncomfortable tension which comes from holding two conflicting thoughts in the mind at the same time. This term, in my opinion, relates directly to those individuals who feel compelled to protest the consumption of dogs, cats, other adorable animals in other countries while simultaneously feeling comfortable putting cow, pig, turkey on the table. Like, hello. So does the choice to eat one but love another make us hypocrites? Kind of. How do we as humans rage against the choices of others while we are observing the same behavior, albeit towards a slightly different version of a furry creature? Somewhere along the line, we have given ourselves permission to kill one or multiple while making family members of others. In my personal experience, suggestions to meat eaters that a cow is a dog, is a pig, is a cat have either fallen on deaf ears or been met with an emotionally charged debate. In order to observe this behavior, one simply has to scroll through media threads where activists face off against non-vegans. Barn fire announcements populate with alarmingly negative comments such as, "Awesome, I like my bacon crispy," or something equally as offensive, while posts regarding injured rescue dogs are met with offers to pledge funds towards veterinary costs. So, vegans and non-vegans alike have been known to cheer the escape of an animal on the way to slaughter. However, only one group will then turn around and prepare meat for their next meal. The way the human mind works is in relation to selective carnism is incredibly confusing. The cognitive dissonance referred to earlier is to assume multiple belief systems regarding the same situations. To me, this separation of emotional availability based on perception of an animal's use to humans is the real matrix. Until a person experiences their own moment of awakening, the pattern of choosing one species inexplicably over another will unfortunately continue. So, I basically got banned from that publication after I submitted this article, and I was called a preachy vegan or whatever, but I don't care. So I'm not trying to preach, you guys, because I wasn't always a vegan. It's been probably as long as I had my dog, and she'll be turning 8 this year. So what happened to me, and I realized what sort of was going on in my brain when I was scrolling through social media and I saw a picture of a dog being boiled to death, right? Because there's certain cultures that believe when an animal is tortured to death, it tastes better. So I was looking and I couldn't really figure out what was going on. And I was looking closer, and the dog was actually looking directly into the camera with this really pleading look on its face. And it was just horrifying, right? And then my dog was sitting beside me. And when I turned to look at her, she just had the exact same expression on her face. It was like she understood what was going on in my mind at that time, and just sort of how the wheels were turning and everything was falling into place that, hey, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. I cannot sit here and call these people barbarians for, following their culture of eating dogs. Well, my freezer is full of whatever's in there. I'm sure it had parents, right? So there was a real change in my life right there. I just realized that I cannot be casting aspersions against somebody else and then doing the same thing, even though it's just a different species. So, and that was really the beginning of my evolution in spirituality and waking up to the Matrix overall. You guys, there's this really specific scene in the Matrix where, that one creep that wanted to go back into the Matrix because everybody was just eating this awful looking gruel, and that's not what vegan food is like, you guys, at all. I'm clearly not starving, right? So he said he wanted to go and eat a steak again, but you have to realize that things are being put into your food as additives that make you addicts, right? I mean, McDonald's calls their customers users for a reason. And there's an actual chemical in their cheese that connects with the soda that makes you crave more, you know? So it's really like, if you're interested in stuff like that, I really just want to encourage you to do your own research and check out things. Like, if you don't believe what's going on, and I know some people don't believe that, like, dairy cows are tortured, you know, and just the things that go on dairy farms is like, you know, it just makes it soul crushing to me. So if you really think that you love animals, and not just, you know, the ones that you keep in your house as companion animals, I really want to encourage you to start expanding your horizons on what is really going on out there. Certain countries have what they call ag gags, that you can't go and basically uncover what is going on an agricultural farm. And you know, there's all kinds of people in rescue, like rescuing animals, and they're being thrown in jail. But meanwhile, the farmers, it's like, hey, you guys go ahead and torture those animals. That's totally cool. And most of the animals that are being, you know, raised for food, they're killed at 6 months or under. So they're really babies. And it's just an absolute disgrace of the planet that we're doing this to animals, when they have the biggest hearts, they have the purest minds, and they are absolute pure love, you guys. And it just will change the way you feel about yourself. It'll change the way you feel about the rest of the world. It'll open your heart in a completely different way once you start finding your path to veganism. So guys, I hope you didn't find me preachy. That's not my purpose here too, because like I said before, like, I used to eat meat and dairy and, you know, whatever, because I just didn't know. I was brought up eating that way. So I just continued to do so until I had my absolute awakening aha moment. And I really credit my dog with bringing that to me, because I wouldn't have probably crossed that bridge for a long time without her being by my side. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Namaste. Stay blessed, guys. Take care. Bye.